Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. The title sponsor of Manny Talk Shooting is Go Fast Don't Suck. So if you need match banners for your match, check them out. They also have an awesome selection of pre-designed and customable jerseys. Don't forget, they are the home of the dry fire decals for your walls, so get those too. They've also got a plethora of patches and stickers that are hilarious and true. You know, Go Fast Don't Suck has a lot of things that you'll need on the range and off, so please check them out at gofastdon'tsuck.net. Welcome everybody, welcome back to another episode of Manny Talk Shooting, the shooting podcast that I do in my side room where my dog lives because I don't have an office, I don't have a spare room. I mean, I guess this is my spare room with my dog, but it's all good. You listen, you come for the podcast, you don't care about the video, even though I make a video of this. It's all good. But tonight we're sitting down with a man who likes to 3D print things and make lots of cool things. It's Jeff Ferguson. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, Manny. It's fun to be on this.
Yeah. It will be fun. It'll have a good time. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna talk and chit chat like we were drinking bourbon after a match, like everybody should, right? At least that's my goal.
Yeah. That sounds like a perfect idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the bourbon state, so that's what you do here.
I mean, is half of your blood already replaced with bourbon yet?
It has not.
Oh,
It's still Diet Mountain Dew at this point.
Diet Mountain Dew. Oh my lord! Now, are you at least a purist? Okay, so a little backstory. My stepfather was a diehard Diet Mountain Dew drinker, and then eventually he switched over to the Walmart variety. But are you a purist and only drink Diet Mountain Dew, or do you branch out to the other versions or the knockoffs?
I don't buy my Mountain Dew from Harbor Freight. No.
That's so funny. I mean, people, if you could have only heard the pre-show, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That's too funny. But yeah, so Diet Mountain Dew. Now, I'm curious. Did you drink Mountain Dew beforehand and then switch to Diet, or has it always been Diet Dew?
Yeah, it was just the straight high test stuff, and then you get older, you get fatter, and you start drinking Diet so that you can have more chocolate. You know, it offsets.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. It does. You got to work it off, right? So, hey, we'll find a way to transfuse bourbon into your blood, though, and I mean, without getting you actually like physically drunk. But that would be kind of cool. And then be like, you need bourbon? We got you bourbon. I don't know. I'll have my German engineers figure it out. That's usually how it goes.
We literally have a store in this state called Liquor Barn, and it's any damn bourbon you could ever want. So, you know, on your way to shoot your match, you know, you can stop by the Liquor Barn on the way home. And, you know, you're expected to walk out with at least one bottle of the brown stuff.
Yep. Now, but so with a name like Liquor Barn, is it legitimately in a barn?
No, it's the one I would go to is a strip mall, but I mean, it's the size of a barn. It's like a size of a small Kroger inside, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Is what it is, right? At least it's the size of a Kroger. At least it's the size of a good grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
You can find everything you want down there. But, so Jeff, for people who don't know you, who are you and how did you get into shooting?
You know, always watched movies and TV shows, cops and guns, you know, things like that, but never anything more than a pump BB gun. You know, I would sink pop cans in the creek behind the house, you know, throw one in and shoot it until it sinks. You know, it's a real good eco way to recycle your aluminum. But, you know, back in the 90s, you had American Shooter with Jim Scouten, and you know that was when it was on TNN. The Outdoor Channel didn't exist, and always watched American Shooter, and probably watched one of the episodes with Jerry breaking one of the world records back then. But you know, parents weren't really into guns. You know, they had the nightstand gun, but you know they didn't go out and shoot. You know, things like that. So you know, I got old enough. I bought a 9mm, a 4-inch XD because you know that was the cool hip thing back then. If you didn't buy a Glock, you bought an XD. You know, the other thing was we didn't have YouTube back then. You know, in 2004, YouTube was in its infancy, and you know it was nothing of what it is now. So, you would find random videos, to download off of a forum somewhere, and you see somebody doing the speed shoot, and like, wow, this looks really really cool. So found out what it is, where it's at, and lo and behold, hey, there's a club that's 20 minutes from my house. So sent the email. They said, hey, just bring what you got, show up. And so you show up with an Uncle Mike's nylon holster and reload out of your pocket. And in by 2005, I was shooting a level 2. So my local club is Ashland Gun Club. They've been around since the early 80s. They produced a national champion, Cody Baker, and then we've had competitors here from that goes to the World Shoot. So some of the original people from the club. If you look at some of the really old photos, like I believe it was in like 90, 91, something like that. World Shoot was in Australia, and there's another one floating around with the U.S. team, I believe, in Great Britain. And there's people from my club in those photos, which you know doesn't mean a lot to most, but it seems pretty cool to be able to see those people, and they're successful shooters. They're known by some of the older guys that are still around shooting, and be able to absorb some knowledge from them, and apply. Although the stand and shoot of the 80s and 90s, those are pretty much gone. Um, still being able to pick their brain on something is it's knowledge that you can't get from a book or from somebody's video of them magged up and in the trash. So, but yeah, so I've been actively competing since basically 2005.
Right. Well, as you said, it is really cool to be able to see someone come from your club, like Mr. Cody Baker, who, unfortunately doesn't shoot anymore competitively, but, you see where he came from, he's gone, he's still, able to compete at that top level. And it's cool because, you get to shoot with them, learn from them, and hopefully enhance the next generation too. Because things you pick up from him, you can share with, the new guy coming up too. So that is pretty cool.
Absolutely. I love it when a new person comes to the club and that I can just give them that 5 minutes of my time to help them basically make it through their first match successfully and safely. If they have a good time, they're going to come back. You don't have to twist their arm. As long as they've got money for ammo, they're going to show up. They're going to have fun, and give them some interesting stages. And you make one person happy, they're eventually going to talk to their buddies about it. And not everybody's going to come back after the first match. Some people are not going to like it. They're going to be scared of either dropping the gun, 180, whatever, drawing. And you could use that as a way into getting them into something else. So if they're not comfortable drawing, okay, well, we have rimfire PRS, or we have regular PRS. If you don't want to draw a gun but you still want some speed, well, okay, 22 long rifle out of Steel Challenge, or GSSF or something. Keep people in the shooting sports regardless, because the more people we have in shooting sports, the more things matter when it comes to gun laws and things like that. That more people are more vocal about. These are things I like to do, and if they start dropping those letters to their reps when something stupid goes through the state or the national level. Colorado just dropped a half a dozen different new things here in the last week or two, of trying to restrict everybody. So if we've got people that they may not be shooting use for IPSC, they might be doing Steel Challenge or PRS or whatever. Get them so that they're tugging on the ear of their rep to show that they want to be represented on their views. So basically, the more guns we have in hands, the more people competing, the better it is overall for all the gun owners and all the competitors, regardless of whatever sport they want to play with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely helps us keep our rights as law-abiding gun owning citizens. So it does definitely help. So you mentioned you're from Ashland. Your Ashland club is your home range is Ashland. I think in the pre-show you mentioned it's about 2 hours away from Bluegrass.
Yeah, roughly about 2 hours depending on traffic to Bluegrass. I also go to Putnam County, West Virginia. That's about an hour away. The West Virginia clubs are a little unique. There's no section.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at them on the USPSA webpage, you'll notice they're all IPSC numbers. So they don't have a WV number or a KY number. They're all unaffiliated clubs, independent affiliated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Putnam County, West Virginia. It's in the Charleston, the metro area of Charleston. So they have a good turnout. Easily draw 50, 75 shooters every month, and for a non-metro area, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Logan, West Virginia, that is down in the coal fields, or I guess it is technically coal fields. There's not a lot of coal thing going on down there now, so it's a couple hours away. At one time, I used to go to Circleville 2 or 3 times a month in Ohio, but
That's a
that was
clip.
so that was about an hour 45 from here,
Oh,
so
okay.
not too bad. Drove to Miami Rifle,
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit in Cincinnati. Make a 2-day thing, go watch a ball game, watch the Reds lose, and then go shoot the next day. So, and I could still beat a Cardinal in less than 3 hours. So, although there's not a ton of interstate travel to get to some of these different clubs, the area is not terrible to have somewhere to shoot every weekend if you're able to. It's not the crazy schedule where you could shoot almost every night of the week, like out at Rio or say Tampa. Both of those areas have a huge amount of shooting where you could shoot. I went on vacation and I think in 2010, I think I shot 5 matches in 7 days in the Tampa area. So, the evening match at Wyoming Antelope Club, that was the first time shooting into a place like that, into the kind of sort of half underground, half not, but still lights and things like that. And the fact that you're, less than a mile, you're still in the city limits and you're less than a mile from the airport and all these homes, and you're shooting a pistol match at, at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It's pretty darn cool. So,
Mm-hmm.
this area is fortunate to have, somewhere that I can go within a couple hours to shoot, pretty much every week. So,
Right. Well, yeah, and I do know this reason why all the West Virginia clubs have IPSC numbers is purely from the fact is they don't have enough clubs in their state to form a section. Because I think there's only 2 clubs now. Because I knew Steve Moneypenny was running a club and then he stopped running one.
So there's a club in Putnam County. You have Logan. There either is or was an indoor club in Morgantown. I don't know if they still do it because I talked to them a long time ago about how to run an indoor club. So I did do that at one time on how to set up stages in CAD so you know that it fits.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got those, which you also have Shadowhawk, but Shadowhawk's on the other side of the mountain. It's 5 hours from here. With a trip through Maryland to get there. So I understand why they're part of Delmarva or Delmara, that
Mm-hmm.
section, and how they consider themselves Area 8, despite the fact they are still in Area 5. I understand that, but if the 4 other clubs that are within, a few hours drive, to argue that they aren't close enough to be in a section would be the same argument for Ashland and Owensboro, or back when Rockcastle was a club as well. That's 3.5, 4 hours from here. So, the argument could still be made that West Virginia should have its own section, and all the clubs in West Virginia be part of Area 5. But I understand why it's different
Mm-hmm.
for Shadowhawk specifically. And then you could look at Virginia the same way. You have one club that's, in the I don't know how they describe it. The western panhandle of Virginia with Bluefield, they're a few miles from Area 5, despite the fact that they're, I don't know, several hundred miles from a lot of the other Area 8 clubs. So, you could even say that to the point that, Bluefield could be part of Area 5 instead, or, be part of Area 5 in either the Kentucky or a West Virginia section without it. So, I think some things could be changed, to, if anything, it would allow those clubs to work together for some national slots. Because right now these independent clubs, they're not getting very much representation, despite the fact they're putting out good activity numbers. So
yeah, and that is one of the biggest leading causes to form a section, right? Is a way to get some clubs activity slots. Like here in Michigan, we have two independent clubs within the state. They didn't want to join the section, which was fine because there is a currently, as we record this, there is a buy-in. Essentially, you pay $1 per shooter to the section. Money goes back to the match that hosts the section match. It's kind of, back in the day when you really needed seed money, right? You needed to be able to buy things before, checks came in or whatever. So we still do that as a section, but, but I understand, section power, right? So you get, say, Carry Optics Nationals, you get 4 or 5 slots. You distribute them between the clubs, and somebody's getting a slot and somebody's not getting a slot. Is really what it comes down to. But
does the Michigan section, does the section itself participate in the section match, or are they somewhat separate?
So I would say the section decides who gets the match, like which of the clubs from the section gets the match. It's usually one of the match directors is like, oh, we would like it, but they take it to the section board essentially and be like, all right, anyone got any problems with this? Because usually it's usually somebody that not everybody wants to run the match in the same year. But we're also nice enough to say, all right, you took the match this year, so you get it the next year as well, hoping that you invest in a bunch of product ahead of time, i.e. targets and sticks and walls the first year. So then in the second year you run the match, you make more profit for your individual club / home organization.
Right. So Kentucky is not really that way. The sectional match was kind of held outside the purview of the section and the section coordinator. Although I can understand some reasons why that it was done that, because there's really only one club in Kentucky that's capable of holding it, with enough bays and people to actually do it, and that's Bluegrass. Back when Rockcastle was existence, that would have been a good place for it as well. They definitely had the room. May they rest in peace. I think it's a golf course or something now, which is just terrible to turn a shooting range into a golf course.
No, it's usually the other way around. You turn the golf course into a shooting range because...
Yeah. I mean, they did crazy stuff down at Rockcastle. They'd have that 5K 3-gun where, you were rucking your rifle over your back with all of your ammo, even for shotgun and things, and you would run, 1 or 2K, and then you would stop and shoot a stage and keep on going. So I was never in the amount of health that I would have needed to be able to do something like that, but that seems like something that would have been crazy fun to do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Kentucky for the most part, forever ago back, Ashland had something called the Ashland Invitational, and it was ran, like a level 2 type of match back then. But people expect a level 2 match or a sectional match or a state match to be a dozen stages with 300 rounds, and my local club doesn't have that capability. People don't. They don't want to put forth the time and the resources to go shoot, a 6-stage match. So I understand why it's at Bluegrass. I wish there was other alternatives so that it could be spread around the state. So it gets out in the western part of the state, because Kentucky is 300 miles wide. So, although a lot of people think of Lexington being central Kentucky, it's not. It's, I-75 is in the eastern half of the state. The true center of Kentucky is more like Louisville, and that's 3 hours from here. straight lines. So I wish we had some more options, but I'm just grateful that we do have what we have, and we do have a very active uh, uh, set of clubs. And don't get me wrong, Bluegrass is a great place to shoot. It's a wonderful facility, except when you have to pull your cart up that hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact is, you got to drive 3 miles on the property to find the pistol bays
Well,
almost.
yeah,
One
if
way.
it's your first time there, uh, you know, that and the speed trap known as Wilmore.
Oh
So
yes, the Wilmore speed trap.
the Wilmore speed trap and the one three-way stop sign that you always stop and look and count to three, because the local guy likes to set back about, I don't know, eighth of a mile back. And I swear he's sitting there with binoculars making sure you do a 3 count when you stop.
Well,
So,
and he's probably looking whose plate, who's got front plates or not, because
yeah.
I'm an out-of-stater. I don't have to have a front. In Michigan, we don't have front plates.
Yeah, Kentucky's no front place. He sees that front plate. He's like, okay, here's a Buckeye coming through. We're going to get him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and yeah, so I agree. That hill is horrible. Like, everyone's like, just bring mags down, and you're like, don't take anything else. Just leave it up at the top of the hill, because it's gonna suck going back up.
That would work, except, for the past 5 years I've shot PCC, doesn't work so well.
Well, yeah, you can't just
But
bring
it's my fault for shooting PCC, right?
Well, no, you couldn't just leave your, but you couldn't just leave your bag. You can. Well, the better question is, how do you have your PCC set up in your cart system? Is it in a bag, or is it in stirrups, or like the 3-gun cart style, or?
So my old thing was, one of the $20 soccer mom refurbs off of Facebook Marketplace. With a couple of the, I believe it's Colpin branded ATV mounts. So, I shot with that for a long time. Christmas came along, and, I was getting annoyed. What do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I don't want anything. Well, they finally asked one too many times, like, okay, here's the link to S3 range carts. Here you go. And I shot a PCSL match last weekend, 2-gun, using the cart with their PCC scabbard. And, I'm not sponsored by S3 carts, but they make a fantastic product. I'm very, very impressed on what they've done to these Zuka carts, and how well the scabbard system works. And, it seems to be fairly rugged. I expect it to last a lot of years. Sans the microphone tray stand. But we have a fix for that.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that in just a second. So you're saying that the PCC scabbard is worth the buy, then?
I believe it is, because it meets the rule requirements for a cased item. So you can park your cart wherever, underneath the shelter, or if it's raining, or you can park it under the shelter out of the sun, so that your stacks don't melt or whatever. And you can just take your scabbard over to the berm and unbag. And when you're done, you put it back in and go hang it on the cart. It's a very nice system. And then, the mag pouch that you can attach to the molly on the side of it is really nice too. So, you can take everything in reality, you can take everything that you need over to the berm, grab your mags, stuff them in your belt, and, muzzle down up to the line. Or even better for still challenge, you just take the scabbard up there with a couple of mags, and, you don't need anything else. So
right.
if somebody is on the fence of that, just shut up and buy it. Yeah, the whole kit, the cart, I think the Cryptek cart, I think it's $3.99. They had a heck of a sale at Black Friday, but it's still one of the more cheaper things that you have. You go out there and spend $7,000 on an open gun. This is kind of drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. So, as someone who's done this for a really long time, I wish something like this was around back when we were carrying the ginormous Shooter's Connection bags, the diaper bags. You'd have 500 rounds of ammo in there for your sectional, and you're lugging that stupid thing after the 12th stage of the day, and you're tired just from carrying your bag, much less shooting a bunch. So
Right. Well, and this cool thing is the scabbard itself, like the mount that it's on that hooks to the Zuka, looks like it should hook to any Zuka. So if you're like me, who bitches the fact that S3 does not make a bag for the large backpack cart yet, and I don't know how many of their shooters I've told two. I think multiple times I've told two of their sponsored shooters or ambassadors, like, tell them all they got to do is make because they've told me the reason why they don't have one yet. I'm like, find a way to retrofit this bar in here for support, because on the transit cart or whatever the Zuka, the model of Zuka they use for their S3 carts has a bar across the front.
Yeah.
Like, let's find a way to bolt that SOB on this large backpack cart so I can have a purpose-built bag in this thing.
Yeah, the mount on this, it's basically a pair of like a figure 8 type clamp with a bolt through the middle, and with a rubber. It's a piece of rubber that you bend around it. I'm not sure how much of it's to help adapt to different sizes or what, but basically, if you've got tubing that's about the same outside diameter, it's going to work. So, and you just crank it on there with an Allen wrench. And you could actually take the post that sticks out at 45 degrees. You could actually take that off and leave the other part clamped onto it if you didn't want that all the time. I'm leaving it on there because it's not hurting anything. It doesn't get in the way. Because when I travel, I lay my cart down. I don't collapse the handle or anything. So it doesn't hit the hatch on the car or the truck or anything. So I pretty much leave my cart readily assembled. So I pull it out of the truck, and I might need to put one or two things back into their little divider sleeves, but besides that, it's ready to go. And that is kind of nice, not have to when you get to a match, you have to get dressed, so you got your belts and your mags and all this stuff you got to get ready. Well, if you're using a stroller that's been folded up, whether it's something a baby stroller, or whether you have one of the rugged gear carts, you still have to get the cart dressed too. So you've got that extra 5 or 10 minutes, and if you spent too much time at Krispy Kreme before the match, you may not have that much extra time to get your cart ready. So
this is true. Well, and everyone makes fun of me because even like myself, I still got to get set up. Like, I'm not very fortunate. I can't leave the handle up. I've got to put it down because usually how it fits in my micro compact car. And then the tray's got to be taken off too because it just it doesn't fit anywhere. But speaking of the tray, like I was very lucky because I have the basic Gator tray that's not branded, right? I think we were talking in the comments on one of, I think it was on Tanfo's post or whatever. Maybe it was even yours. I don't know. But I was like, I didn't break it at all. Like my little nub on the tray was still there. Well, the plastic bit. And I was like, screw it. I'm just buying this because I don't want to have to deal with it.
Right.
Now you might be able to tell me I might be silly, so and I followed the instructions on how to chop off the little nubbin, right? Now, when I unscrew the screw, the shaft or whatever you want to call it, the threaded part, is your piece supposed to stick on, or is it just kind of pop off? Is it supposed to?
It doesn't stick on mainly because of just the way that everything's designed. That's the reason there's a little lanyard loop at the bottom. So the idea is you could just use a little piece of paracord or bungee cord, however you wanted to attach it, so that when you loosen it, it can fall, but it's still captured.
Gotcha. Okay, so I need to grab some paracord and do that's what that was for.
Paracord or zip tie, really anything, just some kind of tether, and tether it to the far side of the bolt so that it's still captured by the handle of the bolt, and in between the handle and the flat bar stock that's threaded that the bolt goes through. So the weak point on that is definitely the bolt. I don't know if you saw how easy it was to cut through.
Yeah. Although, I
But
mean, I will say, yes, it was easy to cut through. It's probably not the best grade steel or metal, but I was also doing it a very janky way. I didn't do it like I didn't do it like the picture said, like, oh, clamp it down to like the table. I'm like, no, fuck this. Put it in the I put it in the vise, and I'm just cranked down on the vise really well. I'm like, cut, bitch, cut, bitch.
cut. I mean, you could probably. It's not so soft that a pair of pliers from Hazard Freight would cut it, but like a good pair of Lyman's or wire dikes from Klein would probably cut that off. So the original version of that, when I was testing, it actually was made to fit a dime because that was the cheapest thing I could find that was metal for an insert. And before I cut that nub off, I almost put it through the middle of the dime. I almost drilled a hole through the dime, just torquing that on there. So I don't, if you look at the insert now, it's a piece of 18-8 stainless. It's actually a washer slug, so it's what you would buy if you want to make your own washer.
Oh, okay.
With like a custom inside diameter for a washer of some sort. So keep it in line with pretty much everything else that I make or sell, with a few exceptions. I made sure that piece of steel was made in USA as well. So all of the filament that I use, pretty much, with the exception of a couple things that I resell, I try to keep everything made in USA. So my filament supplier makes it in the USA. Their raw material is also made in the USA. So that's just something I try to do. But back to the cart, rough calculations is about 1,800 foot-pounds on the tip of that bolt. When it's cranked down to, I think, about 15 foot-pounds. So there's a ton of force on that bolt. Chances are you'll damage the bolt first. So you're not going to damage the 3D printed part. It's printed solid. It's a solid piece of plastic. The metal that it's tapped into on the Gator brand anyway, that's a fairly substantial piece of metal. The chances of stripping the threads on that, I'd say, are pretty slim. The bolt, it's a standard M8 bolt that's made out of maybe a spaghetti noodle. I don't know, but it's fairly soft. But if you did somehow crank on it too hard and either break the handle on it or strip it, an M8 bolt with a little bit of engineering from the hardware store would get you back going. So, I made that after I think I used that tray at a match twice, and I was probably trying to stuff that 23rd round into that mag, and the plastic tip on that bolt just shattered. I couldn't find where any of it went. It's laying on the range somewhere at Bluegrass. I'm like, what the hell just happened? What happened? I'm looking. I was like, okay, nothing looks wrong. And then I see, and there's this giant point on this bolt, and I'm like, okay, I just broke this. So I think I took it off for the rest of the day, and I got home. I was like, how can I fix this? There's got to be some way to fix this. And so I made one out of just regular PLA, stuff that's, sunshine will tear it apart, so will water and things like that. But even the PLA version was stupid strong. So anything that I do outside, I print out a PETG or nylon. PETG is, for people who don't know, is basically a plastic Pepsi bottle, Mountain Dew bottle. And how long those things last on the side of the road. So years and years, hot, cold, sunshine and rain, it's not going to get damaged. So so that's why I printed it out of that. And pretty much like everything else I sell, if you do break it, show me what you did. I want to find a way to make it better and fix it, and I'll send you a new one. I don't really advertise like a Dillon no BS warranty, but yeah, if you didn't take a Sawzall or an angle grinder to it, I'm going to keep you squared away because I believe in keeping the customers happy. So I know that's the type of company I want to do business with. That's kind of one of the reasons why a lot of us are with Dillon, because we break things. Everybody has broken that stinking that little cube that's on the powder bar. Everybody's broke it or lost it at least once. And Dylan says, "Okay, cool. Dial up 800-223-4570. Hey, I need this part, and you've got it in well, before COVID, you've got it in a week. Maybe now it's 2 weeks, but."
This is why you always have a parts kit, and then you just call. You still call them and be like, "Hey, I broke this. Send this, please." But you're still reloading in the meantime.
Exactly. Yeah. Even on a 1050, you crop out that photo. Yeah, I have this problem on my powder measure. You just kind of crop it out a little bit. Yeah, it's not on a 1050. No, this is a 550. What's that case feeder? Oh, that's a different press.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my processing K. That's my brass processing section over there.
Yeah, we load match ammo on a 550.
Yep.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Actually, I did from 2006 to 2020. I loaded on a 550.
I still have friends who load on a 550, and I'm like, "Do you hate yourself?" I also have a friend who loads on a 750 without a case feeder, and I'm like, "Are you retarded?" Like,
well, I mean, I did the 550 for all those years. Right before my first nationals in 2020, the 68-yard swinger nationals at Frostproof. I loaded all that ammo on a 550. Came into a 650 that year, and I loaded with it for several years, and then I traded around and was able to procure a 1050, and so that's what I'm running now, a 1050 with a bullet feeder and all the cool stuff. So now I have an ammo factory.
I am very lucky that I have a bullet feeder. I would probably have quit shooting by this time if I didn't have a bullet feeder. I don't like touching bullets, and it's so much faster. It's so much faster to have a bullet feeder.
With the 550, I'll wear gloves because I was loading 45 ACP the other night for GSSF because I like to shoot GSSF. I do fairly well, and a Glock 21 SF feels a lot like a 2011 minus the grip angle. It feels pretty much the same in your hand. It's about the same size. Download some mouse farts, and then you're slinging these ginormous cookie cutter holes out there at paper. So, it's a bit of fun. It's for something different, and
right.
It's a lot more relaxed shooting that than USPSA or 3-gun or PCSL or something. So I enjoy more than just USPSA, but that's still my main flavor. So,
but, right. No, but I definitely agree that the cart mod, the tray mod, the tray fix is important because, I took the other plastic piece off, I'd cut the thing off, I put this thing on, and I just cranked it down, and I was like, I don't even need to test this anymore. This is already freaking 1,000 times better. I don't have to worry about. How I have it set up is, it's up so high, so I'm not bending over to load mags. Now, I don't know if you saw on Facebook or Instagram lately, S3 Range Carts posted like a couple pictures of people using their carts. And I probably should throw it up on the screen. But there's a guy literally he's got the tray and it's like right above the seat and he's bending over and I'm like, no, like raise the tray. Like the tray is here so you don't bend over.
So at this point, the advertised weight I believe is like 10 pounds, and I threw one of my arbor presses on it after I finished it. It's 30 pounds. I think you're pushing roughly about 50 pounds of downward force when you're loading that 23rd round into a 140 mag. So that's a lot of weight. What my cart fix does or my tray fix does, it makes the weak point not the tray any longer. So at this point, you're pushing on it, and it's acting as a lever on the handle itself.
Yep.
So the higher it is, the more leverage you're going to have on that. One of the guys I shoot with, he is 6 foot a lot. He's at least a head taller than me, and so his tray's a lot higher than mine. And when he is pushing, loading, an open mag on it, it does flex a lot, but it's still, he's going to break something else before he breaks the cart, the tray. So, and that was my main goal, is to take the question mark, am I going to break this today while loading a mag on it, out of the equation. So, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So
yeah, so am I. I mean, I can now if I'm loading a big stick or something, I will try. And I'm weird. I push my tray. So if you're looking at it straight on, my tray sticks out to the left,
mhm.
so I can just kind of load off to the side of it. I'm not acting to having to be in front of it or anything. But this is by design, people, because I have the tray up so high, so I can put my Milwaukee fan on the seat, and I can sit down and I'll bring a little stool or sit down at a bench, and I'm just like, this is nice.
all the
But
luxuries at home.
oh, well, yeah, you go to a major match and you're shooting 10, 12 stages, you're like, I'm taking a little breather.
Yeah.
But I'm also one of those weirdos who sticks a freaking camera pole on the top of off the Zuka. So you don't ask anybody to ever record a stage for you because it's already on the Skycam, and it's like, yes, I don't have to worry
Yeah,
about this.
not unlocking your phone, or you hand somebody your phone, it's got butt sweat on it because it's been in your back pocket for all day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, even with you mounting it sideways, it's still mainly the strength of that pole, because the pole's still being contacted in two spots on the clamp that it attaches to, on
Right.
that piece of, I don't want to call it unistrut. It's more like a U channel. It looks like a micro unistrut. I wish it had holes in the back. It would be a lot easier to use if it already had the holes in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking into some umbrella mounts, designing something for that. I'm not certain that 3D printing is going to be strong enough. I mean, you can make it strong enough, but it would be so bulky it will look awful. I'm still looking into that design because I very much prefer my big, 6-7 foot diameter beach umbrella that I had on my stroller for when I used a baby stroller.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worry a little bit about center of gravity, of how tipsy it would be in the wind. I never once had the stroller tip over, but the footprint of that was maybe 4 or 5 feet by the time it was stretched out, and there's a lot more gravity taking
Mm-hmm.
care of you. So, still a thing in progress. I'll have to figure out something because, fortunately, I've not been to a match that it's rained yet.
Knock on
So,
wood, right?
knock on wood, it's going to freaking pour this weekend. I know it will, just because. But still looking into that, trying to find a better alternative than like a fishing rod holder, or which is what most people use. Oh, they use a fishing rod holder, or um, some type of ATV type accessory. And the way I did it on the stroller was just a piece of 3/4 PVC, with an end cap glued on the bottom, and then that was hose clamped to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
stupid simple, as cheap as you can get. And I would like to come up with something that utilizes PVC and that end cap, because it dead nut solid. It just worked. So still going down that road. It's on the drawing board. Just need to come up with the exact thing that needs to be.
Right.
So
Right. So that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, and I agree. That's how I did it when I had an umbrella on my cart. It was like I had a stroller until I'm like, I don't want to carry, like, the stroller's just bulky, especially like I drive around in a compact car. It's not ideal to throw a stroller or to even go to any match. Like, say your buddy wants to carpool with you, you're taking up half the room with the damn stroller in the back seat, and you're just like, it's not even worth it.
yeah, in 2020, when the world was shut down, Florida, however, was not shut down. So hotels were very dirt cheap. So we spent 2 weeks in Florida in 2020. Between the east and west coast, and shooting at Frostproof, and trying to keep 2 weeks of clothes and luggage on top of a cart and 2 guns and all the crap to go with it. That cart took a lot of room up in my. I had a RAV4 at that time, and that was a huge amount of space it took up. Even taking the wheels off of it, it still took up a huge amount of space. So the nice thing about this S3 cart is, or the Zuka carts, any of them,
Mm-hmm.
any of the carts like that, you can take the pull off of it, and you have almost everything you need in this one cube of storage.
Yep.
So besides a gun bag and your belt, you've got everything you need. So you don't have to worry about you don't have the bag that fits the cart, and then a bag with all the extra junk with you, and then you got a bag for ammo. Everything just fits in that cart.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and that's one of those things. I try if I have what I'm trying to do now at least is get a bag set up. Like if I want to just go practice, right? Like I just want to go take my gun, some mag. Like I just want to have like the little shooter's connection bag that was like an insert for other bags. No, that's perfect for just I'm gonna go plink at the range today, go practice real quick. You don't need all the whiz bangs for the match. I'm trying to make sure I leave a match setup, in that cart, so you don't ever have to touch it, right? Like
Yeah. The only thing I move is my Ear Pro, my Eye Pro, because I don't want to spend another $200 on more yellow lenses. As good of a guy as Brian is, I don't want a separate set of glasses for every cart.
Well, yeah, that stuff. But you don't want to have to like remove pasters or all the extra crap. Like I'll buy duplicates of towels or the little crap you just have you pick up along the way or something.
Yeah, I've got several different setups like that. Whether I'm going to go do Steel Challenge or, there's a short couple months of the year where the time has changed back at fall, but it's not cold out. So, you grab your integrally suppressed 22 or 1022 and you go out and shoot steel at 100 or 200 with a rechargeable lantern out at the range. So, so you can actually see your target and you'll go shoot in the dark until it gets cold. So having various things like that, it just makes it a lot simpler so that you just grab it and go.
Oh yes, 100%. So we we kind of missed the part of why did you start FGS engineering?
So in about 2014, I bought a small format CNC to do woodworking with, and over time, people started being able to adapt that to aluminum and carbon fiber. So I thought, hey, this would be pretty cool to do. Never really went anywhere. It wasn't that rigid to do aluminum, and CNC and carbon fiber is the dust is nasty. That's not something you want inside of you, and the environment is not a good environment to have an open CNC that's doing carbon fiber because you're getting carbon and epoxy in your lungs, so it's not really anything you want. So 2018 Christmas come along, and I got an Ender 3 as a gift. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. But I didn't really do anything with it. So, when COVID hit, I was bored because, I worked from home for an IT company then. So I started looking into it, and one thing led to another. Like, hey, I can make reloading stuff for this. So I drew up, a loading block and all the normal stuff that people would go, buy. Instead, I spent hours designing it and probably 3 times the amount of cost to print it because that's just what we do. Yeah. And eventually I printed my first powder measure knob for a Dillon. And I want to say the rest is history. So, in the past 4 years, roughly 20,000 powder measure knobs have went out of my shop. And right now, the printers, all 6 printers are running right now. One of them's printing powder measure knobs, and it does that all day, every day. So, back then it was, during COVID, it was get material from whoever you could. And,
right.
So you were buying Amazon Basics or, whatever you could find. And, the place I had been buying what I called Dillon Blue, they didn't have it. So I started searching, like there's got to be somebody in the US that has this stuff. There's got to be. Because, this was probably May, I would say. So at that point, we had bypassed our 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and everything was still shut down. And I found a domestic supplier. I called the guy up. I was like, "Are you really made in USA?" Yeah. I was like, "How can you prove it to me?" He's like, "Well, I can give you the MSDS for everything and all of my raw suppliers, and you're welcome to call them." I'm like, okay, cool. So I did. And the pigments made here, the raw pellets are made here, and they make them. For lack of giving away where I get my stuff from, it's up near you, up in that area. So I think I'm doing roughly about 800 pounds of filament a year now, and it's growing every year. So, uh, 6 printers running 24/7. You could kind of think of it like a pet, like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I wake up, I'm pulling stuff on, putting stuff on, um, keeping things in stock because I try not to sell anything I don't already have. So, the lead times are short. So, you know, that was one of the goals, was not to have a 2 or 4 or 6 week wait to get your stuff that, some other places are doing. So, the first vendor I ever dealt with shooting was Shooters Connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's back when Chuck was running it out of either a 1 or 2 car garage at his house, long before he had any employees. And even then, you ordered it today, you had it tomorrow, type of thing. And that's a really good practice. And if I have the stuff in stock, there's no reason I can't get it out to you tomorrow. And if you're close enough, the postal service will get it there in a day. So pretty much everything, with a few exceptions, everything usually ships the same or next day. And that's something, along with the USA made thing, is being proud that I can get the stuff out the door. If you ordered on, you order a tray, a fix tonight, it's going to go out tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll have it. If you really wanted to pay a few extra bucks to get it there next day, then that's not a problem too.
I mean, I can be in a testament. I think I ordered it at like first thing in the morning, and it was already shipped by noon or whatever when I ordered mine.
Yeah, it's what I do. I try to keep everything is to the point that it goes in a box or a padded mailer and out the door. It's everything's pre-processed. I try to keep everything ready to go because
with a sticker, and that is important. Stickers are important.
They are. I should have put an extra one in there.
Hey, I didn't. I don't have. I have like a. Have you seen the big Hunters HD Gold cases? Right, you can get at the van.
Yeah.
I've got it. I think it's on the bottom, or it's on some side of it. I did put it on there. Well, you run out of room. Like just on this one. This one's like my small. I'm at a local for my Insta camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I smother stickers go on everything. The gun safe, cases, boxes, whatever. Stickers everywhere.
Yeah, I've got toolboxes. Back when I did a lot of woodworking, I have a toolbox that's covered in different woodworkers stickers, because that was a big thing in 2012, 2014. YouTube was just in I want to say infancy, but you had a lot of people that were trying to make a living off doing woodworking content, and I did it for a while, and made a few bucks on it. But I've got a toolbox. I've actually got 2 toolboxes that are completely covered with stickers from all the different guys, and went and met some of them, and whether it's meeting guys at a match to go shoot, or after the match having a meal, or the woodworking guys, or any other hobby, is just a group of good people to be with. And when I started doing this, I'm like, why don't I have stickers?
Mm-hmm.
This is stupid. Why don't I have stickers? So basically, if you buy something through my website direct, you're going to get a sticker whether you spend $1 or $100, because stickers are cool. And then some products, even if you buy them on through Amazon or Etsy or eBay or something like that, you're still going to get a sticker, because like you said, stickers are cool.
Mm-hmm. Stickers are cool. I mean, and that's the best, easy way to pimp things out too. It's you just put a sticker on it, and then someone's like, "What's this company? I've never heard of them." Like, well, you stick it next to like you put it next to like a Tanfo Timmy sticker, or like a Shooting Sports Innovations, or Outdoor Dynamics. Everyone knows some of these names, and then they always ask, "Who's that other guy?" And then you need a sticker.
A lot of it's brand awareness. So a lot of people. It's the current issue of American Handgunner.
Mm-hmm.
Did an article on Dillon reloading accessories, and out of 6 or 8, maybe 10 different things they showcased on there, 2 of them were my product.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, if you look at a lot of those products on there from the other people, there's no branding or anything on there. So, if they don't know exactly what to search for, they would never find the same item. And, the Powder Major knob has my logo incorporated onto it. So if you start searching, if you type in Dylan Powder Major knob into Google, chances are mine's going to be the first result. So thanks to Amazon and their incredibly good, their SEO, they do a great job. If you pay for advertising on Amazon, they make sure that you're at the top of the list.
Mhm.
So, I prefer people buy, straight from a website, so that, the big guys aren't stealing, 15% roughly from me
Mhm.
on their platform. But, if you don't want to deal with that, if you already got an Amazon account and want to buy it through Amazon, cool. I'm okay with that too. So
now I'm curious: is everything from your store is everything on your website on Amazon?
no.
Okay.
So Amazon doesn't like some of the things that we sell.
Well, that's a lot
Yeah.
of people too.
Yeah.
They're like,
And I'll randomly get for the longest time on eBay, I have what I call a magazine flag. So it is a chamber flag that just locks into a magwell, like a magazine. But it has, there's several guys doing it. But I drew one up for an M&P 1522. So it's 22 long rifle, so that's friendly to eBay. It's not actually a magazine at all. That's friendly to eBay. It involves no ammunition or anything. They finally yanked it down the last time, and I stopped putting it up. They said it was an assault rifle part. It's an orange magazine flag that locks into the gun to show the gun's empty. The bolt can't go forward on a 22 long rifle. It is an AR, but they called it an assault rifle part. And I'm like, okay, the hell with this. I'm just not going to put it on there. But other things, some of the things you'll see on Amazon, mainly solvent trap type things, and are you a Fed type of thing?
Right.
I am an FFLO 702, so it wouldn't be a big deal if I made my own things. If I had an EDM machine and wired out some monocore silencers, that'd be pretty cool. But the policing of these platforms, it seems like it's a lot more people searching you out to try to get you delisted than them actually going after you. So, in other words, don't piss off an anti-gunner because they're going to come after you, or try to anyway.
Yeah, make your life not so pleasant.
Yeah. So, luckily, I've not had that issue on Amazon. Fingers crossed. I'm sure somebody will listen to this like, oh, all right, we're going to go screw this guy hard as we can.
Yep. So then you just have to go
to asshole.
Then they just have to go to fgsengineering.com, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, just cut out the middleman. Keep my 15% from it.
Yeah. Oh darn. I'll even send you a sticker.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. But so thank you for watching another episode of Manny Talk Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our sponsors here when you are available. We've got Hunters HD Gold, Go Fast Don't Suck, Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, Range Panda, Southern Bobby Q, Laugh and Load, Summit City Bullets, 2 Alpha Apparel, and Tom Castro Shoot Academy. Now let's get back to this episode. So I guess I lost that question, but it's okay. I have another one. So if someone was looking, if they weren't looking for Dylan powder, accessories, or Dylan reloading accessories, you make 3D stage kits, right?
Yep.
Now, looking at the pictures, I've seen plenty of diagrams. Tanfo Timmy does his with yours. Leif uses your setup for kits. The thing I noticed, at least from pictures, and especially even your own pictures with your diorama, like your fancy diorama for pictures, it's very well printed. It looks like everything's right at the right setting, and you have really nice details. Like shit, there's even a little barrel with an AR magazine sitting on it. Like,
yeah. So I looked at other things that are available out there, and there was a half a dozen different ones on Thingiverse and probably printables. and they were either not to the right scale or differing scales. So an 8-foot fault line was a different length than an 8-foot wall, or you would have poppers that were the size of a target. So nothing was scaled. There was no rhyme or reason to anything, whether it was based off of, uh, a Lego man, or if it was off of a G.I. Joe or whatever. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a decent scale here it's small enough that, you could use a tabletop to do your entire bay, but not so darn small that, Ugga Dugga hands like Danfo and me myself, you break the stupid thing. So,
Right.
I came up with basically 1/24 scale because, look, every one of us had at least one model as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody smelt the airplane glue at least once, and that stuff was usually 1/24th. So, inch means 2 feet, and whether it's a wall, a start box, a target, some things there's a little bit of creativity, like Texas stars, because not every Texas star is the same. Not every plate rack's the same. But I went to my own home club and I started measuring things. And I looked up the Bianchi specs for a plate rack, and I measured off of our plate rack and found that there was only a couple inch difference. Like, okay, this is a good scale to use. So so I drew the plate rack. So there's a lot of parts print and they're ready to go. They don't need extra processing, but there's other parts that are welded together. So like a plate rack prints in, the plates are printed separately, the legs are printed separately, and then the bar that goes across the top that holds the plates, all those items are printed separately. And then they're welded together with a solvent, along with the plates. So while that is more time in processing, I think the quality you get from it, as well, is a lot better quality control. So you don't end up with walls that are bending off a print bed, because if you look at a 3D print and it kind of looks like, if it's supposed to be say shaped like a 2x2 piece of wood, and you get to the end of it and the bottom of it just kind of curls up at the end, it lifted off the print bed during printing. And if you're not touching your parts, if you're not going through your parts, if you're just dumping them off a print bed into a box and out the door, you don't have quality control.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take more time to process that, but to me it's worth it, because what I ship you is going to be the best product that I can get to you, and it's going to work as advertised. And if everything's a true scale, then there's no guessing. If your bay is 50 yards deep and 30 yards wide, you make your tabletop setup match that. And if your kit fits on your table, it's going to fit your bay.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for indoor. Back when I ran an indoor club here local before COVID, I didn't have the stage kit back then, so I did everything in SketchUp. So I actually had the two indoor ranges that we could use. I had that drawn up in SketchUp, down to the inch, so I knew exactly what I could fit in there. And it would have been really nice to have been able to do that, on a tabletop rather than SketchUp. SketchUp's easy to manipulate, but it's a lot easier to just throw some parts out there and have a stage built in 5 minutes.
Right. Well, and you don't have to worry about the learning curve. SketchUp, you're it might look from one angle, might look like it's on the bay floor, but really it's 30 feet in the air, because
Yeah.
or you got legs sticking through the bottom and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, and the other thing is, you have to draw all your props.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 8-foot walls or 6-foot walls, and that's the other thing, is that probably a couple times a month somebody emails in and says, "Hey, I've got 6-foot walls. Do you sell 6-foot walls?" I'm like, "I don't sell them, but give me a week and I will." And I'll send you some. When you make your order, I'll send you some extra ones, just for the fact that you told me something you wanted and you bought it. I'm going to send you some extra just because. And that's how a lot of other things have happened. Somebody emailed in, "Hey, I want a Polish plate rack." Okay, I had to figure out how the hell I'm going to draw it and make it work, but I
Mm-hmm.
made it work. And then when Max brought out PCSL, I'm thinking, okay, nobody's doing PCSL, and yeah, you can use regular metric and classic targets for it, but we don't have anything red. So I ended up making 2-gun, 3-gun friendly things like dump barrels, staging boxes, um, and of course all the PCSL things. That shape of a target. Back then, there wasn't even the rule book didn't even show the target. So I grabbed the dimensions based off of a photo on the website and did some reverse engineering. And I did buy some targets later on, and I was within like 1% accuracy of drawing it from a photo. So, that was back before then. So, that's the big thing is true to scale. And if you have a problem, tell me about it. If you want something new, yeah, we can do that too. So somebody emailed a while back, hey, I would like to have a steel challenge set because we use our same steel challenge steel to set up outlaw as well. Should we talk about outlaw? I don't know if we're allowed to.
I mean,
we'll talk about outlaw. Yeah, we'll talk about outlaw. But they'll use the SCSA steel to set up outlaw stuff because a lot of places don't want to run just the 8 stages because those do get a little dull and boring after a while. If you're going out there to have fun and not to go down there and beat Grant Kunkel or something, or one of the new 12-year-olds that are going to whip all of our asses.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to have fun too. So these guys like, hey, can I get this steel? Like, yeah, okay. Do you want a cone, a start cone? It's like, oh no, we just like, I can make you a cone too. So a couple people have bought those. I don't have those on the site yet. It's in the queue to add it to the site. Take a fancy photo in the diorama and add it to the site. But it's one of the things where if you have a weird prop that you want, email it to me, and probably a week or so you're going to have it in your hand. So
right. Well, and like as we've been talking, I've been perusing your website as we look and talk about things, and it's cool because like on the PCSL version, you offer your poppers, mini poppers, Texas Star plate racks, and 8-inch plates in different colors. Mm-hmm. You give people those options to be like, well, is it rifle, pistol, or shotgun?
Yeah.
Which takes, I mean, you just have to, when you go pick the order, you just got to look at what color plate you're grabbing or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
it helps. The idea of a stage diagram is, when you're setting up a big match, you can give a color photo to your guys, and it may not be exactly what you imagined, but if you've got it on a grid layout and they know that the grid is accurate with the scale, they can get 95% of that stage down on the ground for you, and then you can come tweak it however you want, and it's ready to go, instead of you having to micromanage everything. And it just helps the match flow, especially where places where they have to set up and tear down the same day, because a lot of clubs out there they don't get to dominate the range for several days at a time. So being able to just hand that out and say go do, and they don't have to guess, okay, do we need are these really steel? Did they use this in place of did they use something in place where we really want clay birds here or something?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got clay bird holders too. They look amazingly like steel plates, except they're orange. But somebody emailed us like, hey, we need clay bird holders. I'm like, what can I do to make? How do you do a clay bird on a holder like that without doing some type of craziness? I'm like, make it like a steel plate, print an orange plate. And if you know anything about 3-gun and you see orange looking little things to shoot at, pretty much everybody knows it's a bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's clay bird. So I'm always looking to expand more things. So if somebody out there does have a kit, or a lot of people have bought, they have somebody else's thing, or that they've they've either paid for somebody to do it for them, or they bought another kit that's available out there, and they mix and match, and I'm cool with that too.
Right.
In the end, it goes back to the whole thing of getting people involved.
Mhm.
So, to circle back around to that.
Well, it is, and it's super cool, right? Your kits, they last up, they hold the test of time, they look good. They I don't know how keen I am on yellow walls because I mean green is such a better color than yellow, but I mean that's a personal preference. I mean, it's just
I was originally going to go with orange.
because 90% of walls are orange, right? Like,
Yeah, a lot of it's orange. I've seen a lot of green because Lowe's has that garden fencing that's green. Um, the original mesh walls though were all construction fence. It was all snow fence,
mhm.
and but that stuff's harder to come by now. It's a lot more expensive now than it used to be. So a lot of places are using different colors. So I went with yellow just to differentiate myself from others out there. All my walls are yellow. I suppose if somebody wanted to buy enough that it would be um, feasible if they wanted a green one or if they wanted orange or something off the wall, then it could be arranged. But I try to keep most things the same. The fault lines are all orange. The walls are all yellow. Some things that would be traditionally wood, like target stands or steel bases, would be metal. Usually, it's a raw metal color. I still do those in black because there's only so many colors you can choose,
Right.
and it still gets the point across. You still know it's a popper,
Yep.
regardless of what color the base is. So
Right. Well, and another cool thing I noticed on your website is, if you're a match director for a club, right, and you just provide legitimate proof that you're a match director, you can get a decent discount on a kit. So you
Yeah.
don't have to draw it on napkins or back of receipts anymore.
exactly, yeah, or PowerPoint.
Mhm.
Everybody
Oh,
remembers
ugh.
PowerPoint. Yeah.
No, that's almost as bad as the Trident, the online Trident system. I
I don't know
tried
about
that.
that. I don't know about that.
Oh, ooh. If you want, like, it's
I
just
paid
like
for it once. I actually paid for it once, and I
PowerPoint's
asked.
here, and like Trident's like just about here.
Yeah. So forever ago, that's what we had access to. It was mainly PowerPoint. Even the official classifiers were done in a PowerPoint. Whether they were actually PowerPoint or not, I don't know. But
Mhm.
somebody made a template that matched it. Almost exactly.
Mhm.
As far as match director, I'm fairly. I hate using the word liberal, but yeah, I'm fairly liberal about it. Even if you aren't the person that's listed on the web page, for the club on the use of a site, you know, as long as you come in with an honest, hey, I help this guy, or I'm an assistant, or whatever, as long as you're not straight out lying to me, you get to discount. I don't care. And
Mhm.
so the other thing is, if you buy the whole kit, if you buy just parts, if you build your own kit, you don't get this. But if you buy a kit, whether it's even the smallest kit or the full size PCSL, there's a coupon code in there for 30% more off. So when you buy a kit and then you realize, hey, I need more targets, I need more stands, because the kit's made to build. The way I put it, you could build a nationals level stage with the kit and not need anything else. Now, of course, if you wanted an extra plate rack, or if you wanted a lot of specialty items, you may not have everything you need. But if you grabbed any of the recent national stages, a big 32 round stage, chances are you can replicate that with the kit. So now you're a match director, you've built that one stage, but you want to monkey with a little side shoot or something to go beside it.
Mhm.
Now you're still in parts from it. Like, oh hell, now I need more parts. So that kit has a coupon in it. The full size kit has a coupon for 30% off again, and there's no expiration. And whether you buy $10 or $200 worth of more parts, it's going to apply.
Mhm.
So it's and you get the coupon whether you got a match director or a discount or not.
Right.
So
Well, and that's really cool too, because it entices repeat business, right?
yeah,
Like you're like, it's not a once and done relationship, right? You can be like, oh, need more targets, or I want to have, say you want more classics or you want more metrics. There's always you're always going to need more if you're designing stages, especially like if you're thinking of your whole. I don't know anyone. Someone could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of anybody who sets up like a 10 stage match and has enough models for 10 full stages to be sitting out the whole time.
no. or not even that, just the room to have all that crap spread out. You're out of table space and you're getting evil looks from the other room over. Like, why the hell are you taking the dining room table? And why is there 3 card tables in the dining room?
Right. Well, I mean, there's the nerdier side of me. I used to be into tabletop like gaming, like Warhammer and like 40K and fantasy was a thing, and it's like you have these little models out there, and they used to have 8-foot long tables,
Oh, yeah.
and they were like 4 feet wide, and you're like, we're gonna be here for 4 hours, guys, but we're gonna have some fun. So that's where I imagine that, like you have the whole,
yeah.
you have all your bays measured, and it's all in like the foam, like your diorama.
Yeah.
Which and then they have that, and it's just like. I'd just be there the whole time, like, no, I got to tweak this one target.
So
yeah, no, I would definitely be like, nope, built the stage, designed it, took my pictures, and I'm like, I'm good. Now,
yeah.
Speaking of, is there a mat that you recommend to go with your kit? I know we talked about scale; it's 1/24. But is there like an actual like grid mat that you are like, yes, I approve of this mat?
No, because usually that's something, if you get one that's big enough, usually you get it locally because, shipping large things through Amazon, chances are they're going to beat it to hell by the time you get it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll ship you a glass bottle and a padded mailer because Amazon doesn't care. So, whatever your Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics or hell, even Walmart, basically if it has a 1-inch grid on it, you're good to go. Some of them I've seen are, they're the green cutting mats. People use those. I've seen some others that were they fit together like puzzle pieces. Like the Harbor Freight sells foam floor squares that are fit together like puzzle pieces. I've seen some that were like that had a 1-inch grid on them. So it doesn't really matter, and you don't even have to have it at all. If you're just going for the look and feel, you maybe you don't know what bay you're setting up something on, so you want this speed shoot, you're going to have a couple walls and things like this, and it's not going to be perfect, but it gives you enough to get it going on the ground. If anything, it lets you know how much stuff you need to throw in the trailer or the back of the truck at the prop shack, so you can haul it off the bay without needing to go back and get stuff later. So you don't have to even use a grid scale.
Right.
But it does help.
But knowing your shopping cart is very important when you're, as for example, we talked about bluegrass where there's different sheds and trailers and you're going to lug it all the way across to the tall end of the hill over on 10 and 11. You're coming all the way from that bottom pit. You want to make sure you make one trip.
Not every one of us are going to do lunges with a damn popper.
Yep.
Because you've seen that video, right?
Yeah.
Sutherland.
Sutherland. I know
however you say his name. He's got a video out there. Him and one of his buddies were setting up a match. They were swinging the giant sledgehammer around like it was nothing. He was doing vertical leaps onto the big cable spools, and then he's doing lunges with a popper, like this, and he's just walking straight down the range doing lunges with a full size popper. And I mean, what are those stupid things? 80-90 pounds total.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Combined. Yeah, and to balance the damn thing even more so.
Right.
And not everybody's built that way. That dude's a machine. He is solid.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah. So yeah, no, I would not be doing lunges with the popper. No. To answer that question, no. But no. Speaking of, I want to talk a little bit about 2023 Kentucky state match. I was there. I worked stage 1. Did you hate that bear trap as much as I hated that bear trap?
Probably. I guarantee I had a mic on. I wouldn't doubt it one bit.
Can I be a bearer of bad news? Because I do know.
Oh, it's probably going to be again.
It was a mic and a no shoot.
Probably was. Now I'm going to have to go look at the results on that one because it wouldn't surprise me that that was that match. I'm trying to think if it was that year. Was it 2023 or 2022? My gun broke like first stage.
Ugh.
And I was chasing my tail all day long. It was a quarter circle 10 lower, and I found out the ejector on it had rounded off, or not? Yeah, the ejector. So it actually had it rounded outwards. So what it was doing, it was stowing the brass into the left side of the upper. So I could end up with a piece of brass that was jammed in between the ejector and the side. It would also try to load one into the chamber and then would stovepipe another one underneath it. So I would end up with 2 or 3 rounds trying to be chambered on top of a piece of brass still stuck in there.
Ugh.
And I went through hell trying to figure out why it was. I think I burnt something like 2,500 rounds of Syntec trying to go through because I thought it was maybe as an ammo problem. Is it a magazine problem? And I just ripped the barrel off the upper and threw it in a vise and started looking at it. Just watching the bolt going back and forth. And eventually I realized that the bolt was touching the ejector. So the ejector was loose in its slot somehow. It's a laser cut piece of metal that's held in with a roll pin. The ejector was moving slight outward, and it was also rounded off. So props to Quarter Circle 10 though. That I emailed them, told them exactly what was happening, and I had another ejector in a couple days. Didn't cost me a dime. So back to the whole customer service thing. If and when I do, I mean, not if, but when I build another PCC, that's who my lower is going to be because, they took care of me on a $3 part. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with, their stuff has a bit of a premium to it. It's not quite a JP cost for a lower, but it's a heck of a lot more than one of the New Frontier versions. There's a dozen people out there selling marking variances of a New Frontier lower. In PCC, but I'll go back to Quarter Circle 10 or 20. I don't even know what the name is now. I'll go back to them because of a $3 part. They took care of me when I had a part that was broken. No questions asked. Here you go. And that's the type of company I want to deal with. So that's why I try to model mine after it. So back to that bear trap and no shoot. I guarantee you, I got at least one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, as me as the little old CRO here, I'm explaining geometry to people as well. They're like, but the hole is oblong. I'm like, all right, we're gonna figure this out, guys. The target moves, the no shoot moves. It's like there's lots of things that can go wrong here. But no, Leif, if you're listening, I don't know if you will, brother, but I will probably see you in person before you hear this. Please don't put me on the bear trap stage, or at least don't put me on bay 1, because then you had to explain because that bay was a retreat stage, of course, on the worst bay for it, because the back of the berm is like up here, where you're kind of shooting is down here, and you're going you have this hill, you know how it is. It's just like you retreat. Most people are going to fall down. It's just a thing. I don't know. I've had so many. I had so many experiences.
You said that was 2023.
Yeah, the bear trap was 2023. Yep. At least in that bay, and it had the worst name. How much bear could a bear trap if a bear trap could trap bear? And I will. Whoever named that stage is going to get an FU card for Christmas, because I said that. God, how many times did I end up saying that? Oh, at least 20 plus times that I had to say that.
All right, now you got me looking. Okay, I didn't realize Andrew Hyder won that match. Didn't realize that. All right, let's look and see how bad my score was. Because,
that I did not have a good match that match either, so don't feel too bad either.
All right, I found my score. How bad was it? Mike in a no shoot.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah. If you, yeah. And that was always the
Mike
worst.
in no shoot. Yeah. And then there's always a. So I've sponsored it the past 2 or 3 years. I've sponsored a stage up there, and each time he's put me up there, up that little gravel ramp that everybody falls on their face or tries to.
Yep.
He always has a stage up there with like 2 or 3 different activators, like a swinger and a drop turn and all that. So I always had, somebody was like, man, the stage up there, your sponsor, your stage up there. Like, how's it my stage? I didn't choose where to put my banner at.
Right.
And, it's these Gee Whiz props. Now, props to Leif, though. His stuff always works. His props work. he puts those little tents over the swingers and the activators. You're not going to have a droopy swinger because it got a little wet. He does a fantastic job putting on a match down there, and a lot of people, um, they might complain about either the stages or where the match is at, or various things. But one thing's for certain is he puts on a great match, and everything, it just works. Everything down there just works. Whether it's the tablets or the stats are done right and proper. Last year they had that low cap match, and staff reset, which is kind of neat. Then they had a food up at their banquet hall at the range. So it was kind of a throwback to the old Battle in the Bluegrass. Especially the early ones that were like 2009, 2010, when it was really a true production gun, not this 59-ounce nonsense.
Hey, don't make fun of their boat anchors.
Yeah, a brass flashlight. Yeah.
Yeah, a brass frame weight with a LED, like a pocket light and a watch battery or something like that.
Somebody emailed me in, hey, can you make a tungsten insert that still has enough voltage to work a TLR1 HL? They wanted a pair of CR123s that had just enough voltage to pass chrono, basically. And I'm like, yeah, you probably wouldn't want to afford it anyway, as expensive as tungsten is. Because I don't know if you've priced the tungsten slug that is it Shooting Sports Innovations down there in North Carolina?
Yes,
I think. Yeah, that tungsten slug is what, $200 or $300?
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's a game changer as far as doing some of that stuff. But man, $200-$300. That's a lot of money for a little piece of metal.
That's 3,000 primers right there.
I also know how much of a bitch it is to actually work with tungsten, so I don't doubt his price one bit.
Right, yeah. It's all based on time, cost, time, and money,
Yeah.
You know how that works.
Yeah. Tungsten, titanium both suck to work with, so
this is
stick
true.
with brass. Stick with brass. It'll work.
Oh, 100%. 100% on that. I agree with that.
The old Taylor freelance mag pads from forever ago made out of brass. You can throw it at somebody and brain them. It's so darn heavy.
Yeah, that's for sure. It definitely is heavy, and they still do hurt when you drop them on your toe. I mean,
yes.
Rule number 1: always wear shoes, sandals, Crocs, whatever, to protect the toesies, because you don't want to drop it on your feet. So I think I saw a post. You're not going to shoot PCC this year. Well, what are you going to shoot this year? What division are you going to shoot?
Well, at PCC Nationals last year, MPA was at the booth, and they basically were throwing ammo at you to go up to the test bay and shoot one of their guns. They didn't care what you shot; they wanted you to shoot one of your guns. So I said, okay, let's use one of the limited optics with the I don't know if I had a gas pedal on it or not. It did have the high shielded safeties with the metal grip, with the steel grip. And I went up there and I blasted through. I think it gave me 2 mags. And I was just drilling the hell out of that steel. I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Didn't really want to spend $4,000 on a 2011 and then put on an optic, because I'm a Trigicon person. Back to that whole made in USA type thing. Yeah, Trigicon. I don't care for the SIG or the Hollow Sun. All that stuff is made in China. Hollow Sun is owned by a corporation that is basically, you could call them like a Lockheed or a Boeing to the Chinese government. So the money we're putting into Hollow Sun is money that is going to the Chinese government to use against us. So Trigicon has a dead nuts bulletproof warranty. Back to that whole thing of taking care of your customers. I bought a scope off of Reddit, off of Gun Accessories for Sale. One of the AccuPoints with the Trigicon insert. Guy said, "Hey, yeah, it looks good." So I got it, and Trigicon was just deader in hell. I'm like, oh man, this sucks. So I called up Trijicon and they said, okay, give us the serial. Okay. All right, we'll send it back. I was like, you don't want a receipt or anything? No, just send it back. So, so they took it back. They had it maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and they sent it back. And it had new tritium in it with new nitro purge and all this stuff. And it was just as bright as it should have been. Cost me $20 to get brand new tritium. So back to taking care of a customer, making a customer for life. So yeah, I could buy a hollow sun for what, $250 or so.
Mm-hmm.
No, all my guns have SROs on them now. So, that's just it taking care of customers. I guess it. Not only am I a customer that expects that, I try to do that to mine too. So, but anyway, back to all of that. I ended up with I was shopping for an MPA. I almost ordered it half a dozen times. Almost did it a half a dozen times, and somebody listed that they were selling one of the hybrids, the blue gripped ones, on the Enos forums. I'm like, you know what? That sounds pretty good. And I found out they were actually somebody from Bluegrass, and I emailed them up and said, hey, I'm going back in 2 more weeks to shoot the Glock match down there. You want to hold it, cash money. And so I ended up with an MPA DS9 hybrid that had, I think, 200 rounds to it. The guy wanted to buy an Atlas, so I can't fault him for that. Atlas makes a fine product, but I didn't want to spend $5,000-$6,000 on an LO gun, considering I hadn't shot really pistols in a match for many, many years. I'd been pretty much PCC only, and so I grabbed that DS9 and I said, okay, I'm gonna put away the PCC this year. That didn't last too long. I shot PCSL last week, so.
Hey,
and I'm going to shoot PCC the second round at Putnam County this weekend, hopefully. So as long as it's not downpouring or something. So I'm in that. I'm in one of those crazy predicaments where I'm A class and everything because I'm an M in PCC, and I would really like to do BGM at PCC because I've got several scores that are above 95. But then you've got this guy who has an M card and he's more like a B shooter with a pistol. So I can have one thing that I really like and it just completely screws me on everything else because there's no chance in hell I'm going to be racing against masterclass people at a sectional. So, if I want the trophy for the wall, it ain't the time to go GM and PCC. So it's more of just fun with PCC and get to shoot through again with, the people I shoot with I shoot with the same people at almost all these same matches because they're good friends. So it kind of breaks it up though, shooting a different division. I keep telling I'm going to take a carry gun out and shoot it sometime, and then I priced the cost of 10 millimeters. I said, hell, I ain't shooting carry gun this week.
Right? Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. No one wants to do that. Your wallet doesn't want to even do that.
No, even reloading 10, it's had FBI not. I think I posted on somebody's Facebook about they had mentioned 10 millimeter, not Facebook, it's Instagram, about 10 millimeter. It was basically if the FBI hadn't have hired a bunch of limp noodles out of college to play G-Man, we'd still have 10 millimeter in the FBI issue. So with 40 short and weak, there was plenty of 40 brass for all the limited until everybody's eyes went to crap, and we came out with all these 9 millimeters that are just begging to be shot. You can't blame them on that. It's shooting at MPA is fun as hell. It really is. I don't regret not getting the heavier metal framed grip gun. The lock version. I'm used to shooting 44 mag and 10 mil, so grip wasn't a problem. 9 millimeter out of that hybrid. I don't have a gas pedal on it or anything. I'm very much in the Ben Stoker mentality of the gas pedal is going to change your grip every time you touch it. With an open gun, maybe, so that you got a little bit more because you've got a couple extra inches of gun on an open gun by the time you figure the comp. And so maybe that does help a little bit on an open gun, but let's face it, it's a 40, 50, 60 ounce 2011 shooting minor 9mm. Do you really need that death grip on it? It's 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's factory stock with exception of the optic that's on top of it. And I'm really impressed with the fit and finish of that gun. Whoever made it did a damn good job. Has a great trigger. There's hardly any creep, hardly any over travel. To be what you could call a factory gun, because I don't consider them custom. You buy it the way it comes. Maybe you can choose a color or something, but it's not like it's not like you're going to Infinity where you get to pick and choose every little item that goes on it. For a factory type gun, it blows everybody else away. Especially when you look at some of the others that are out there like Staccato or something like that. It's a much better product, and plus they give a shitload back to the sports. So they support USPSA, sponsoring stages, sponsoring nationals, giving back to ROs and prize tables and things like that. So it's just a win for me. I get a good gun at a reasonable cost, and they get to sell a gun, and they get to make $1, and I get to have fun. So,
right,
I'm very impressed with Masterpiece Arms on what they've done and what they've been able to provide as a product to everyone. So, knock on wood, I've not had any problems with it, but I did send an email in one day. I think I actually asked if I could get a hybrid grip in a different color. And I don't remember who the president of MPA is, but he personally is the one who actually emailed me back saying, no, we don't generally do that. You could get it; it would cost extra money, and you have to wait longer to get it. He didn't say no, but he just kind of persuaded me against it. But when you've got the owner of a company or the president of a company emailing people back for mundane little details like that, it does show that they take some customer service serious. So if there was ever a problem with that gun, I have no doubts that they wouldn't take care of it, or be reasonable with a repair bill. So, pretty impressed with them.
Well, and if you also think about it too, they make their competitor think about what their price point needs to be to sell a gun now. Mm-hmm. If you think about that too, so it's just definitely makes people think, right? Of how can we get away with charging $7,000 for the same product where MPA is charging 45 to 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, or do we have to turn it out faster? What add-ons? What creates value past that point, right?
Yeah. Infinity wasn't. At Open Nationals, you would think that all of the big players would be there trying to get you to buy their stuff, or hey, look at our stuff. Infinity wasn't there. Not really the same match for Staccato, but I'm assuming that Staccato also wasn't at CO Nats or at LO Nats. Where MPA is standing there and they're literally throwing ammo at you. Hey, let's go shoot this thing. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like they could just go to the bay next door at Talladega. You had to hop in the RTV and drive, a quarter mile up the hill to a completely different range. So it wasn't like, it was just something simple for them. So they had to, there was some effort to get that gun in your hands. And I mean, hell, it worked, because, within, Open Nats were in September. I think the middle of October, I had an MPA in my safe. So it didn't take very long.
Well, that's pretty fast, and that's pretty nice then.
Yeah.
Definitely helps there. So, Jeff, we're kind of near the end of our time tonight. I know we could be here all night, and our significant others would be probably pissed at us. I know mine would probably. But as we kind of wrap up the show, are there people you want to shout out or thank that have helped you kind of through your time in the sport?
You kind of put me on the spot on that one. When I first started shooting, and I'm 100% certain he doesn't listen to this podcast. Probably doesn't listen to any podcast. Mm-hmm. Growing up, it was Gary Stevens, the Area 5 director, back in the 2000s. I traveled with him almost everywhere. he I don't say he provided me access to a lot better shooters, but I was basically following him around. I was this 21-year-old following him around to whether it was an area match or I think we went up to Detroit one year, and I think it was like the Angus Day charity match or something. I think it was some type of like a Catholic scholarship, or I'm not exactly sure what it was. It was up at Raccoon Hunters. Mm-hmm. Being able to be around him, and he had been doing this for 20 or 25 years. They were a lot of the people in my club are USPSA people. Ashland's been shooting since I think about 81. Hell, I wasn't even born yet when they were shooting there. So, I've got people around that, I look up to. I look up to Cody Baker and what I've been able to learn from him. There's other people there's just so many people that have touched me and been able to just learn and absorb some information from them. But yeah, I think it'd be unfair if I didn't mention everyone. So it's one of those cop out type of things, I guess.
Hey, that's okay. I mean, I put you on the spot there. I didn't know.
That was a spot.
Yeah, it's all good. I usually try to stump some people throughout this thing a little bit, not intentionally, but I get them. But that's good. So, Jeff, if people wanted to get a hold of you, talk about your products or questions, what is the best way to reach you?
Best way is going to be you can either reach out on social media. So the Instagrams is at FGS Engineering. You can always send me a message on there. FGSengineering.com. There's contact form on there. The email address is on there as well. And then if you've got something specific that you want to talk about, if you're not an email person, if you peck buttons when you're typing, don't want to type a paragraph, then hell, drop me your number and let's chat. So, I'm an IT person by trade, so the best way is usually in a text format. But if you've got an idea and you can't think about it, then I'm working a couple matches this year. I'm working the Kentucky match as well as Area 5, so feel free to stop by and say hey and give me a sticker.
Right. You get that sticker, right?
Yeah.
So. No, that'll be cool. I mean, that means it's pretty cool. That means we'll be seeing each other at 2 matches. We'll be working at the same match. So, because I will also be down in Kentucky and at Area 5 because I'm a sucker for driving to Kentucky. That's 6 hours away, and my friend Corey and Dan were on Cardinals, so I have to go support them. So that'll be cool.
Cardinals a fun place to shoot. We shot the last year. They had a match, a level 1, the week after CO Nats, so you could shoot. I want to say like 18 or so stages in 2 days for $40. The stipulation was that you were then tearing down a national stage after the match was done.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot more involved than I anticipated. Tearing down national stages that have been up for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But think about it. You got to shoot and we did that. We shot handgun national stages the weekend after. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And of course, it was a pissy, rainy, bullshit kind of day.
Oh, it rained. Everybody got drowned at CO Nats. Hey, guess what? We got drowned again the following weekend. So, yeah, that was a real fun weekend. Between the fact that I was shooting that was my first like toe dip into LO, and I was like, I'm just going to go into this cheap. So I built a Polymer 80 with Zev guts. And I found out that Zev did not harden their firing pins properly. And, that damn thing went full auto a couple times. Like, okay, we're putting this thing away. So, it would just like burp 2 rounds. And like, okay, maybe I just bump fired it. And then it did it one more time. And then it sprayed like 12 or 14 rounds full auto. I'm like, yep, we're done with this shit. I emailed Zev and I sent him a picture because what happened, it rounded off the mating surface for the sear. It rounded the thing off and it wasn't catching all the time. And I emailed him and they was like, okay, well, if you can send us a receipt, we'll replace it. And I'm like, You admitted there's a fault on a part that's brand new, but you still need a receipt. Okay, screw it. I'll just put OEM back in it. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be messing with that crap, especially at a match. And then you're just like, I 100% agree. Yeah, I'm done with that. Moving on.
So there is one thing I want to mention.
Go right ahead.
It's more for the local people. So at Putnam County, we have a yearly match that's in honor of one of the original founders of the USPSA club there. It's Putnam County. It's in Eleanor, West Virginia. It's a Gene Richmond Memorial match, and Gene meant a lot to a lot of the local guys here. So they have a scholarship in his name for this match, and this match, all the money from this match goes towards that scholarship. So, it's usually in October. So when that registration pops in there, if you want to come shoot a good, 8 or 9 stage match with some good food and a pretty decent, price table, there's raffle buckets and things there. I usually donate, uh, you know, quite a bit of product as well as usually a gun since I am an FFL, so I'll usually donate a gun as well. So that's in October in West Virginia. So, keep that on your calendar if you don't have something else. Then in November at the Ashland Club that I'm a member at, my home club, I'm doing a toy drive. So Leif and them down at Bluegrass did a similar type of thing. I don't know if it was in October or November of last year. They had a really good turnout. I'm like, this is pretty darn cool. So I'm doing a toy drive, which your entry fee's an unwrapped toy. So it's not going to be as big as the Gene match or a sectional or something like that. But we had a lot of guys from Ohio come to our local match this past weekend because I think a lot of them went to a music concert that happened that same weekend. They came and shot afterwards. So you had a good turnout then. So both those matches should be some good times later in the year after a lot of things have already buttoned up and stopped shooting for the year. A lot of clubs end in October. So I hope to see, maybe some new faces at either one or both of these matches. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, and those are some good opportunities. The Toys for Tots and the Gene match, definitely to go support and give back to, and go shoot a match in honor of a good man and some kids who need some toys. Right? You can't beat giving an unwrapped toy, right?
Well, yeah, especially if it's cool.
Yeah, it's not no crap that the kid gets some garbage gift or whatever. You know what I mean? Like somebody throws some. You know what I mean? Like. It's always cool. Gun people will give cool gifts, like if it's a Nerf gun or whatever. It's like we think out of the box. I feel.
Well, the ones at Bluegrass, they did. It was for the UK Children's Hospital there in Lexington, and I think instead of doing instead of taking the toy to the match, they had it was set up with some type of Amazon program where. All you do is you put in the payment info and it knows where to ship it to for the UK Children's Hospital. And I ended up not being able to go to the match, but I still bought a couple toys because, good cause. And, it still brings awareness to what we are and what we do. We're not just a bunch of yahoos shooting guns in the middle of the air. We're professionals. We've got school teachers, lawyers, doctors, machinists, all walks of life get together on a weekend to go punch holes in paper and have a hell of a lot of good times. So
that is true. We do those things, and we are those kind of people. So
they might think it's a little odd when a dozen guys roll into a decent restaurant. They're all sunburnt. They stink a little bit. They're all wearing these weird shirts of things that they've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, well, these guys, like, are they a football team? What are these guys? And, why do they have gun stuff on their shirts? And, we'll roll into a lot of times we go to a place called Brew that's there right before you get on New Circle in Lexington. Went up there for a beer and a burger before we start driving, get back home. And I'm sure they got to look at us a little weird, but hey, we're just regular people. we like shooting guns instead of playing soccer or throwing frisbees. So
yeah, that's just how we spend our time. It's our good hobby. So, but man, Jeff, thank you for coming on and chit chat with me. I've had a blast. We've just got to know each other and just hang out and shoot the shit. So it's always been a fun time. And hopefully people know more about FGS engineering and go peruse the site, go make a purchase on the website, preferably not on Amazon. But hey, I mean, hey, cut out the middleman sometimes, guys. But hey,
yeah, cut out the middleman.
All right, but Jeff, brother, thank you for your time, and to the listeners, get out and do the things. I'll see you on the next one.